everybody. This is Nick Newman with the Conscienticon, where we share practical spiritual occult wisdom. And before we get started, I'd like to just read off a disclaimer here. Please take all lessons from the Conscienticon at your own risk. I nor anyone within the network are responsible for your behaviors, be they beneficial or damaging. So we are not medical professionals or financial advisors here, so please take everything at the Conscienticon at your own risk. But I really am trying to do my best to share practical spiritual occult wisdom that can help people be better people. That's the goal. Be stronger, better, faster, all that. Today's episode and today's question is from Blue Scion Gamer. And my problem with acceptance has never been that I just feel I need people to like me. I get booted out of the house for being gay at 18. I've lost tons of jobs because I refuse to be exploited, go to a job interview or court hearing and then say that you don't need acceptance from anyone. You see what I'm saying? I've had to let go or surrender of the idea that I can do much about it. But we do need acceptance from other people. We need acceptance all the time or they will work against us. So that is the question. There's many questions inside of this question, but I promised I would get to answering this, and I've got a little story for all of you guys. But before we get started, if you are new here, please subscribe, comment, and like. So if you are new here, welcome, and please subscribe so you can get more information every week. We make a video here just about every week talking about practical, useful, philosophical ideas, occult ideas, ideas about magic, spirituality, health, money, all these sorts of things is what we cover. Just about navigating life to the best of our abilities and exploiting what we have. And today we're going to be talking about some exploitation. Okay. Here recently I had a coworker who I really adored working with or working around this person. And she just had a miserable time, an excellent work ethic, but a miserable time working where we worked. Now, her problem was that she always felt like she wasn't doing enough and that she needed to do more consistently to get the approval of people around her. And her goal was to get basically a promotion. Now, after several years working with this company and then failing to get promoted and getting basically turned down every time, she had her last straw, and her last straw was in the parking lot with one of the customers, and she flipped off a customer, which was a big no-no. Unfortunately, or in this case, fortunately for her, they got it on camera. And in getting this on camera, she was terminated. Now, first, it was a travesty for her life. It was absolutely nightmarish because there was so much change all at once. Now she didn't know where her money was coming from, and she needed a new job pronto. But long story short, she ended up finding a job within about a week and landing this job, getting paid way more than she was already making, and actually liking working there, as crazy as that is. Now, that may not last because everything in life changes and transforms, but there's a nugget of wisdom here, because the transition of her life was absolutely hellish at first. She was panicked. I was worried for her too. A lot of people were worried for her. But there's an old saying that says, when God shuts a door, he opens a window. Now, he's not opening another door. It's a window. It's uncomfortable to crawl out of. It's a new option. It's going to change you when you go through that window, but the window is open. And I think at some point in most people's life, if they become mentally mature enough, they start to see these windows everywhere. They see these moments of opportunities in their life where they can just make changes, but it'll be at a price. And that price will be basically the absolving of the known. You can't have it anymore. You have to take the unknown path. And there's another really cool saying, which is better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. Okay, so some people live in a life restrained by fear because they're so afraid of taking a risk, and that's fair, because in this very physical world that we live in here and we experience and are a part of, there are consequences for missteps, and sometimes those consequences mean the end of the physical life. Okay, and this is the I guess you would say the esoteric nugget within this, is that all of it stems, all fear of change stems from a fundamental fear of losing physical life or more mortality, basically. So to go back to Blue Scion Gamer's question here, life itself is exploitative. Okay, you do not escape it. It is one of the fundamental truths of reality. Exploitation is defined as the action or fact of treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from their work. And we see this in nature all the time. It is absolutely fundamental. And if we are struggling with getting social acceptance in the workplace or getting jobs or something like this, we are also there to exploit whoever we're trying to work for. Anytime somebody is getting a job, they're trying to get as much money as possible with as little energy expenditure as possible. That is your basic person who's trying to go to get a job. It is very rare to see somebody going out into the world and trying to get a job because they're working on that job as an expression of their character. That's hardly ever the case. Most of the time, and I'll go on a limb here and say like 98% of the time, it is somebody applying for a job because their skills kind of fit, and they're trying to get as much money as that business out of that business, the business owner or corporation, whatever it is, as possible. So the exploitation is always both ways. It is always going forward and back. So that company is also trying to get as much energy out of you with as little pay back as possible. And in Judaism, money and currency is a distilled, it's not necessarily distilled, it's a symbolic form of energy and time, or transmutative power over time, which is a beautiful way of thinking of money, because what we're trying to do is get a fair energy exchange. And here comes the problem. The problem comes when you ask, what is fair? Because no one can truly define it. Instead, a better question is, what is something that you can comfortably live with? So we know that life is exploitative, and so are we. I am exploitative. There are things at the beginning of this, I asked you to comment, like, and subscribe, because I need a little bit of your energy to help propagate my energy, right? And so hopefully what's happening is there's a fair exchange of energy, in that the wisdom and the things that I talk about on this channel are going to benefit your life enough to justify my request for a like, comment, or subscribe. So go ahead and do that for me, please. But all of existence is this way. Nature is this way. There's always a fight for energy, because this restriction of energy is something that is built into our universe. How do we break out of living a life where we are required to be what other people want us to be, to get acceptance from people around us? How do we break out of this? And the best way to do it is to change the power dynamic, because the power dynamic at play is always the key indicator of exploitation. If you have somebody in a position of low power, they have low control over the world and low ability to take care of themselves, they are way more susceptible to being unfairly exploited, or let's say extremely exploited, because what we're trying to do is get a balance of exploitation both ways, a fair trade. People with low levels of power and status, and basically a lower ability to take care of themselves, maybe they're struggling to find food, maybe they're struggling to find shelter, maybe they're struggling to do this or that, they're easily exploited because they are in a state of survival. And when you are in a state of survival, it can be really difficult to say no to things that are going to answer your immediate needs. And so what happens is people accept the first things that come to them, and then they cling to those things because they are at such a state of exploitation by the universe already that they don't want to take a risk of getting in a lower position, so they'll cling. Like my friend in the story before didn't ever want to try and leave that company and find a new job. She was staying there because she was afraid that she was going to be exploited worse somewhere else, even though going somewhere else was exactly what she needed to get the things that she wanted. It is imperative that you understand what you actually need. You need food, you need water, you need shelter. People feel so bad and so low status so often. I mean, that is so many people feel that. I feel that. I've felt that way so many times in my life, and I've had excess money, but because I was in a cyclical relationship with an employer that was really, really hurting my body and hurting my mind, and all these trades were just not fair. The amount of money that I was getting for what I was doing was destroying me. So we want to understand that the fundamental principles of life are all that we need: food, water, shelter, perhaps companionship. And if somebody is dependent on you, you have to provide those things to them. Okay. This is love. Okay. They're extensions of us. So we want to provide for them. So what happens is people want jobs that pay them as much money as possible. And they get those jobs and they think, oh, thank goodness I landed a great job. But then they feel like basically a square peg stuffed into a round hole, or the inverse. They feel completely out of place. And this feeling of being out of place creates such a toll on them over time that it undermines their health. It undermines their free time and their rest. In the Western world, rest is not even considered a fundamental human need. As crazy as that is, people don't think you need to rest in the Western world. Now, other countries, they've got different ideas about this, but I will tell you right now, taking a break from responsibility is critical for your mental health, because we're here to experience. We're not here to just slave away. There's a requirement for this physical form to take energy and exchange and trade, but there's an experience that underlies it all, or you can say it overarches all of it. And that's what we're about. And when you are undermining your experience, there's no point in gaining extra money. There is no point, because all you really need to understand is the physical things. And this is what I'm talking about when I talk about Spartan ideas, the Stoic ideas of the agoge. Marcus Aurelius used to go and do agoge training, which would remind him that all these excess things in his life were completely unnecessary. All he needed was the strength of his body and food and himself. That's all he really needed. And he would remind himself to stay away from the pleasures of excess, these unnecessary things in life. And it would ground him to understand what his fellow men needed. That's what they need. They don't need PlayStations and Xboxes and all these other excess things. You don't need a nice car. You don't need gold watches. You don't need that roly. What you need is a dependable source of energy that will sustain you and your offspring, or the people that you care about. That's what you need. And fortunately for us, those things are not too complicated to get. So when you understand these fundamentals, you can take risks. You can tell your boss, no, I am not doing that because it's unethical. You can say that. And if he fires you, worst case, he fires you, you understood your physical needs. You saved money to make sure that you had food in the future. You saved money so you knew that you could find shelter in the future. When you cross these bridges, the need for social acceptance goes away. It slowly goes away. There's a book called FU Money that really expands upon this idea that what you need is enough money to tell somebody no. And if you are not in that position, there's a good chance that you are spending excess money outside of yourself in order to comfort yourself due to lack of rest and fear of imprisonment. Like, absolutely critical to understand these things. That a lot of people don't have any time. And when they do get these pockets of time, what they say is, I work so hard for this money, so I should just go and do something nice for myself. And this nice thing that they do for themselves makes them feel exquisite in the moment, but takes away future potentiality. And so when we know the fundamentals of the things we need, food, water, shelter, warmth, we know those things, we can traverse the most craziest obstacles of life. When you are willing to give up everything around you in order for your freedom of experience, you find the ability to say no to people around you. So now you say, what if I can't get those fundamental things, those physical needs of life, right? Then you are burdened with a choice, the choice of existence itself, or the choice of the illusion of continuing this cycle, this karmic pile of memory that you are, instead of surrendering to death, right? This is the main thing. This is those ideas of death before dishonor. This is where this emerges from. And it's the idea, if I take away an idea of an afterlife, and I say, this is all you've got, you are going to cling so fiercely to what little you have, and you will endure whatever suffering people around you put you through, because you don't believe there's anything beyond this. So it's better to just get while the getting's good, to experience as much life as I can in this short period of time, because there's nothing left after this, right? But that is one of the fundamental things that I believe, is that there is more to this world. There is more, and there always has been, and there always will be. And that right now, what we are channeling experience. We are channeling witness consciousness. And it is the idea that no matter what you take away from yourself, you absolve yourself of all memory, you absolve yourself of anything that you think is you. All that you are left with is fundamental experience. So you'd say that I experience myself, and human beings experience their memories, they experience their thoughts. But even if you take that away, you're still experiencing. And that's one of these occult truths, is that experience does not ever become nothing. Experience does not ever go away, no matter how low you go. Whether you're talking about atoms communicate with each other. They experience one another. They react in exchange to energies and values with each other. And we call this chemistry. This is real. And it's all the way down, whether you are a human being experiencing your self-consciousness, you're able to pull memory up and review that memory, experience this memory, experience the now as well, experience your ability to express biological intelligence, whether you're a human doing that or you are a fruit fly flying around trying to propagate your genes and find food or sugar. Both of those things are having experience. It is what is shared. It is what's fundamental. Different, yet fundamentally the same. Our experience changes, but it never ends. Okay, you've experienced so much, but you just lack the capacity to hold the memory for it. It's a really trippy thing to think about. And then we understand that safety is an illusion. We live in a world, exploitation is a fact of the universe, and safety is an illusion of the universe. Okay, there's no such thing as safety, because what we're saying when we say safety is we are maintaining homeostatic cycles within certain systems. And that is an impossibility of the universe. It might be temporary, but it's impossible to make safety permanent. Anything could take you out of this game at any time, right? And I don't really mean you out of the game. I just mean what you think is you and your memory. And anything can take me out of the game, but can't take me out of the game. We are the game. And so when you understand that, you know that death isn't the end. And so what's most important in life is the character that you are witnessing as you experience life, your character, the things you said no to, the things you said yes to, the things that you went out and willed yourself to do. Those are the things that are most important because it is your direct experience. Your character is paramount over everything else. And it is important to develop a good character, an altruistic good character, because, as we said before, everything is experiencing. We are experience. And if we are that experience, why would you wish suffering on anything else? Because in causing suffering to something else, you're causing suffering to a piece of you, which is completely unnecessary most of the time. It's completely unnecessary. And this is a Buddhist idea of compassion. So yes, we live in a physical world. And this physical world is exploitative by nature. It means there is suffering inside of it, and you will have to battle. You will have to play the game, okay? And the game is so intense. It's the best game you can ever play. Your game of your own life is the best game you will ever play at this time. Because you've been playing games. We've been playing games. We don't even know it, right? But finally, I'd like to hit on this point of an idea of the Bodhisattva. Okay, the Bodhisattva is a Buddhist idea of a Buddha who is an enlightened being who chooses who they are every single day because they do not get attached to the idea of who they are. They know that they are karmic consequences of the whole world, that nothing is really anyone's fault. Every expression, every human being that exists is an expression of truth within the universe. So you don't have to justify your existence to anyone. You just are because you are here. You are justified in existence, right? There are stories of bodhisattvas as wandering prostitutes who are women who are enlightened, and they wander, and most people view them as prostitutes, and that would be what we would consider socially immoral. But they wander because they know they don't have to be this way. They know that they're the whole show the whole time. So they do not get attached to anyone's views about them or how people see them, because they already know that they are the show. And so the Bodhisattva, there's ideas of Bodhisattva being, instead of a Buddha who sits and meditates and does nothing, Bodhisattvas go out in the world, experience the world, and are just part of the whole show, right? And they can change whatever mask they wear at any time. So one of the key mantras of the Bodhisattva is that you are under no obligation to be the same person tomorrow as you were yesterday. This is like a Bodhisattva mantra, to know that you are the whole show. You can change, and just your desire to change what you are, your character, or how you act in the world is enough to permit you to do it, because you are an expression of the cosmos. So, in a long roundabout way, being secure with yourself, understanding the things you really need, and getting those things, the things you need to maintain this physical body and hopefully a balanced homeostatic state of mind and health. When you understand those fundamental things, you can say no. You can make people upset. You know that even if you were in court and you were wrong and maybe you were thrown in prison, right? Because we don't want to just you don't want a serial killer to get social acceptance from the judge. So maybe if we are in a court of law and we're being judged by a judge, the judge could be right. But whether you are a serial killer trying to defend yourself or somebody who is truly not guilty of whatever crime, it is still fundamental to understand that you may not be in a position that you can control any outcome at all. And also, fundamentally, all you need are these physical things, and that we are constantly in a transmutive state of life, and that with faith and hope, you can change whatever state you are in. Faith, belief in yourself, and a goal for the future, you can transmute your state, because you are the whole show. This intelligence involved inside of you, and it is designed, we human beings, this current expression of the Tao or life is gifted at transforming this physical world, and that in that very gift of intelligence, you will find the answers to most of your struggles in life if you permit yourself, and if you are willing to squeeze yourself through that window when you think that God has slammed the door on you. This is Nick Newman with the Conscienticon. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And I want to stop and thank the patrons for supporting the Conscienticon. I appreciate you guys so very deeply. And as always, super proud of you guys. And I hope that I am giving you guys some value back. So, also, if you'd like to become a patron, first $103 tier patrons will get a video posted on the Conscienticon on any topic that they wish me to discuss, and I will post it on the Conscienticon permanently under your name. And it'd be kind of like a little gift from you to everybody who's going to view this channel in the future. And it's a gift for me too. It's a gift of coffee for one, and it's a gift of knowing that my work is appreciated, and it's a beautiful thing. So I thank you guys all very deeply. And Blue, I hope that I did your question some justice. Thank you.